Good evening, I'm Pinky Webb. Tonight we ask the questions, we tackle the issues, we clarify matters, and we get on point. Tributes continue to pour in with the passing of Catholic Church leader Pope Francis. The People's Pope is most remembered for his simplicity and served as a source of hope and healing. The Vatican has set his funeral rites on Saturday. Let's get on point with Father Jerome Secillano, the spokesperson of the Catholic Bishops' Conference of the Philippines. Father Jerome, good evening to you. Good morning where you are. And first of all, thank you for joining us. I know madaling araw po kung nasaan kayo ngayon.
All right. Thank you, Pinky, for having me. And good evening.
I want to start the conversation, I guess, continuing on with what we were talking about prior to going on air. Tinanong ko po si Father Jerome kanina kung nag-sink in na nawala na po sa atin si Pope Francis. Father Jerome, go ahead.
Well, when I first came to know about the passing of Pope Francis, of course, it came as a shock because a day previous to his passing, he was actually very public. He even blessed the people, and he gave the Urbi and Orbi blessing. And then all of a sudden, he passed away. Well, we are kind of expecting it, but not so soon. Nakatulad nung nangyari na parang few hours after his public appearance. Wala na kagad ang Santo Papa. And if you're asking me if it sinked in already, unti-unti na. Kumbaga ay natatanggap na natin at expected na natin na papunta naman talaga doon.
You know, Father Jerome, there was an interview today in one of our stories na here in the Billionaire News Channel. Somebody had actually said na para hong hininday pa ni Pope Francis matapos ang Easter Sunday before he left us. Kumbaga, ang kanya pong parang description is, hinintay muna si Jesus bago mapunta sa kanya. Siguro ang pangyayari o ang istorya. What do you think of that?
It actually crossed my mind also. Looking back, sabi ko, medyo mahina na siya when he was greeting the people. And then, sabi ko, ito na siguro yung, kumbaga, timing para sa kanya, showing the whole world that even though weak, he was still able to perform his duty, especially to give the blessings to the people, lalong-lalo na Easter Sunday yon. Pero sabi siguro ng Santo Papa, baka ito na yung right timing kasi Easter is about new life. So we are coming from the darkest days of the Passion and of course the crucifixion and death of Christ. And then here comes Easter, bagong buhay. Christ actually defeated death, sin. Now Pope Francis maybe thought that this is the right moment for him to go. Dahil may assurance nga na ipinapakita dito that the death of Christ and of the resurrection is all about giving life also to those who died. So parang si Pope Francis, meron pa rin teaching moment sa kanyang pagkamatay.
Yun na nga po eh. That's also what I was thinking, Father Jerome, because of what you said just right now. It reminded me of the homily during Easter Sunday. Ang pagkaalala ko po, ang priest namin noon, his name is Father Julius, ang sabi niya, there are two very important occasions in a year. It's Christmas and Easter. Yung Christmas kasi yung Pasko ng pagkasilang at ang Easter ay Pasko ng pagkabuhay. Yun yung kanyang naging description. And it seems that after, sabi nga, 40 days, no? Ang Lent at ito yung ating babalikan yung pagkahirap, yung pinagdaanan ni Jesucristo, all the suffering, and to end it on Easter Sunday, to which is his resurrection. And then, rightly so, as you said, si Pope Francis, naka one last time pa siya nung Easter Sunday bago po mawala sa atin dito po in earth, no? Sa a day later. I mean, I guess it's very, what is the right word? Parang napaka-symbolic at napaka-selfless pa. Parang ganun po yung lumalabas.
Yeah, you're correct on that. It's very symbolic, showing basically the mysteries that we celebrated. It's all about having new life. Life is actually given to those who died, and now it's as if Pope Francis is telling the world that I may be gone in the world, but then I have life in Christ. So a teaching moment at least yung kanyang pagkamatay. And I guess people like us, priests, kinakailangan siguro na ipaliwanag din ito kasi nga yung symbolism is very rich. And maganda na nadidiscuss natin yan ngayon sa inyong programa.
Father Jerome, tell us more about how you would remember Pope Francis.
Well, you basically said that he was a very simple man, a very humble man. And the good thing about Pope Francis was that he did not only say things, he did not only teach us, but he was actually doing all these things that he taught us. So basically, there is no duplicity in the person. Yung mga tinuturo ay ginagawa. Yung kanyang mga sinasabi ay talagang pinatutunayan. I, for example, would like to point out the cleansing that he did in the Vatican. We start with the Vatican Bank, perhaps because of the corruption that was happening right there. And Pope Francis took matters into his hands. So yung financial status ng simbahan ay tiningnan niya. And then when he sensed that there are maybe indications of corruption, he did something about it. And then also, ang isang nakita ko pa dito, yung transparency din niya on how to deal with priests, erring priests for that matter. Hindi na lang ito yung tipong itinatago, but he was very firm in his stand that if there are priests involved in sexual misconduct or even corruption, those priests must be accountable. And not only those priests who should be accountable, even the bishops, if they don't do they don't do anything about their priests, mananagot din sila. So very remarkable 'yon kasi pinakita ni Pope Francis na he really meant business. If the church is really going to be very credible in the eyes of the world, then at least he has to start from within. So he cleansed the inside of the church.
What about inclusivity? Let's talk about his approach on inclusivity. And yun ang siguro balikan din natin yung sinabi mo nga earlier that he's really a pope for the poor.
Yeah. So when it comes to inclusivity, it's very evident in the way he pronounces as far as dealing with the marginalized and of course the LGBT community and many others. He would always say that we are not to judge them, we are not to condemn them, and allow them also to feel God's love, and that they should be embraced also in the church. They should be welcomed in the church. Well, these are words that are kind of uplifting, especially for these sectors. And we believe that the church was responding also to the call of Pope Francis. So his leadership style was more about accommodating people, welcoming people in the church, and making people feel that God loves them very much. Even though for some, this may not sit well. Kasi nga ay parang masyado tayong rigid din sa simbahan. And that rigidity, I think, was addressed by Pope Francis. So isa pa rin yun na maganda. That's why sabi ko nga yung pagiging inclusive niya ay nag-umpisa yan sa kanyang openness to deal with these sectors, looking at them and then looking at them with love and compassion. So magandang halimbawa na ipinakita niya yun.
Any personal encounter or experience you had with the Pope?
Well, if you're talking about personal encounter, just like what you're showing right now in the screen, na talaga nakapag-usap, I don't have that. Pero yung nakaharap mo siya, then nakamayan mo siya, it was in 2023 when I attended the conference for shrine rectors in the Vatican. So he was there, he showed up, then he went around, and briefly, I even told him that I am from the Philippines. He smiled, and then he extended his hands. And then after that encounter, I went to his residence, the Casa Santa Marta. I had lunch there. He wasn't there because I was told that he was kind of tired and he opted to skip a meal. But his table empty. But then I was told also that he would be there with priests working in the Vatican bureaucracy. And there were even policies that were being followed when the Pope is there. So you don't have to talk to the Pope. You don't have even to greet him. You don't even have to make mano to him, sabi ng mga pari doon. Kasi yun ang ginagawa niya sa maghapon.
Opo.
So he wanted to be an ordinary guy, and he just doesn't want to be treated na parang katulad ng mga tao sa labas na nagkakandakumahog talaga. Nagmamano, nagsisiksikan. So that's how he is. Alam mo, yung kanyang Pinky, parang very pragmatic din sa kanyang approach. Hindi yung, sabi ko nga, walang duplicity kasi pinapakita niya talaga kung ano yung nararamdaman niya. That's how I saw him.
What about his trip here to the country, to the Philippines, January 15 to 18, 2015? Ang dami, that was a jam-packed schedule. As expected, of course, ang dami niya pong nagawa, ang dami niyang napuntahan. And one of them, of course, was in Tacloban, in Leyte,
Yes.
and Palo, rather, also in Leyte. But from the time he arrived to having Mass in the Manila Cathedral, I believe, in also having a encounter with families in MOA, to also, was it also a Mass? I'm not sure if it was a Mass in USC. It was a jam-packed schedule, also a visit to Malacanang. Ano ho yung siguro masasabi nating pinakatumatak sa inyo dun sa kanyang pagbisita dito sa ating bansa?
Okay, number one, nung nasa Manila Cathedral siya when he celebrated the Mass, I was there. But sabi ko, ito na yung moment na makaharap niya yung mga pare. And then what is good about that encounter is he was addressing priests, Filipino priests. Kasi yung address niya lagi, very general yan. At kung meron ng mga specifics siya na group na na-address siya, of course, yung Roman clergy, Italian clergy, and yung iba pa siguro na bumibisita sa kanya. So, in-emphasize siya again yung love for the poor, yung ministry, okay, service talaga, compassion. Sa UST naman, I was actually assigned din sa security sector. So I was coordinating with the PNP and all the security personnel para mapanatili yung kaayusan ng mga tao doon. As early as 3 o'clock in the morning, ang dami ng tao, Pinky, napakahirap talaga na ipacify yung mga tao because they really love to see the Pope. And then it was already, I think, 7 o'clock in the morning nang dumaan yung kanyang bus and he was waving at us. Nakita niya kasi nakasutahan na kami. Doon siya sa bus. He was smiling, waving. And then, nandun na sa loob ng UST, wala na naman kaming chance sa pumasok kasi ang dami ng tao eh. Sa security nga kami noon, coordinating with the security personnel. Pagdating naman dun sa MOA, yung ticket naman na meron kami, pinamigay ko sa mga families. I was then the pastor of a church in Sampaloc, na sa Señora del Perpetuo Socorro. So yung ticket na yung binigay ko dun sa mga families na nasasakupan ng parish, so that they too can enjoy the presence of the Pope. And I was told that it was really a graced moment for these families dahil nga pinakita din ng Santo Papa doon at na-emphasize yung kahalaga ng pamilya at maraming natuwa sa ginawa niya yun. So yung siguro pinaka-highlight nito na nakita ko, yung kanyang yung kanyang sincerity in reaching out to the people. And then of course, mababanaag mo din sa kanya yung kanyang kabanalan. And then, parang hindi siya napapagod na lumapit talaga sa mga tao. And I guess, saying that, ito na yung binabanggit ko din na binukas niya kasi yung simbahan sa mga tao eh. He wanted people to feel that the church is open to them. The church is actually for them. And not only the church in general, but the papacy as well. Di ba, Pinky, pag sinabi natin po, parang elusive yan eh.
Mataas.
Parang hindi natin, parang hindi natin kaagad-agad makikita. Pero tingnan mo naman ngayon kung mag-post yung mga sa social media, di ba? Ang dami-dami kung sino-sino na nakadaupang palad nila, di ba? Nagmano sila. So, Pope Francis not only opened the church as an institution, but the papacy as well. So he wanted people to have an encounter with the Bishop of Rome and of course the Pope himself.
And I guess, Father Jerome, sa kanyang pananamit pa lamang doon pa lang nakita na natin yung kanyang pagiging simple. Kaya nawala yung, siguro that idea na napakataas niya compared siguro sa amin o sa atin, na alam naman natin na yun ang katotohanan. But he would not make us feel that. Just very quickly, I remember something when you talked about the Manila Cathedral. Wasn't it true that during that mass in the cathedral, together with the Filipino priests, number one, that was close to media. That's what I remember. And number two, he went out of his way, which was not part of his schedule, and he went to a home for parang street kids. Would that be correct? Do you remember that?
Yung kitang-kita natin doon, he hobnobbed with the priests in wheelchairs. Yung mga retired priests, sick priests, yun ang unang-unang nakita natin dito. And then, if I remember it correctly, merong isa yatang foundation na pinuntahan niya rin. Kumbaga, meaningful nun dahil alam mo naman yung mga ganito mga foundation, kahit nga yung mga benefactors, baka hindi ka agad-agad nakakapunta dun eh. Baka nagpapadala lang ng kanila mga contribution. Pero the Pope, I think, went out of his way to make those people feel that they are important. Kasi yan ang trademark na kanyang papacy Pinky, na yung marginalized, yung mga parang neglected, talagang nabibigyan ng halaga. So the importance was truly given to them. Mm-hmm. And Pope Francis, I think, is going to be remembered for the way he treated the poor. Kaya babalikan ko yung sinabi mo. Yeah, if I remember it right, parang pumunta nga. Pero sandali lang naman din siya. Hindi naman din siya nagtagal. Pero at least, he showed some concern and compassion for this marginalized sector.
CBCP spokesperson, Father Jerome Secillano. Pleasure to have you. Good to see you, Father. Take care of yourself. Maraming salamat po sa inyong oras.
Thank you, Pinky.
We'll be taking a very short break. Up next, we'll speak with the Shepherd 1 pilot who flew Pope Francis and his delegation to Tacloban City despite the stormy weather during his visit to the Philippines. Stay tuned. This is On Point. Welcome back. You're still watching On Point. Joining us now via Zoom is Captain Roland Narciso of Philippine Airlines. This is the man who flew Pope Francis and his entourage during his visit in the country in 2015 amid stormy weather. The PAL flight had a call sign Shepherd 1 because of his distinguished passenger. Let's now get on point with Captain Roland Narciso. Captain Roland, good to see you. Maraming salamat po sa inyong oras.
Hi, good evening. Thank you.
Captain Roland was 41 years old, if I got it right, when he flew Pope Francis from Manila to Tacloban in Leyte. And we were all there in Tacloban. Well, I was there. I was lucky enough to be there. And ang tagal po naming naghihintay na makita yung airplano. Tell us more about first that flight coming to Tacloban amid that stormy weather. Kasi meron pong Typhoon Amang, kung di po ako nagkakamali. Run us through what happened, Captain.
So a few days prior to the flight, we knew already that there was a typhoon coming, but we didn't know the extent of the typhoon or how strong it would be. So we were preparing for it, and I think a day before, we somehow knew that it was going to be strong, but it was within the limits naman of the aircraft. So we continued, and 30 minutes prior to the flight, we were already before arriving, we were already coordinating with the tower, and there was one PAL aircraft on the ground, so we were communicating with him, with the captain of that aircraft. So he was updating me of the wind condition, the visibility, and everything. The security of the Vatican also communicated with the tower, and to make sure that the weather condition was within the limits of the aircraft. So it was a go. We went overhead, if you recall, and we approached on the final approach. The wind from, I think that was about 35 knots of crosswind. It dissipated to about 20, 25 knots. So it was really a go. We were within the limits of the aircraft, so we decided to land. And it was a blessing that we landed safely.
When you were on air, when you were nandun po, bago po, sorry, so from that time, I guess what I wanted to know was, gaano po katindi yung turbulence na naranasan po ni Pope Francis, his entourage, and of course the media. The media was also with you, some members of the media in that particular plane.
We experienced light to moderate turbulence. It wasn't that bad, but it was a moderate turbulence, especially towards Tacloban. No? So, but the Pope was briefed by the Vatican security. We briefed them as well. So we felt safe. We felt safe, especially when the Pope was there. We feel safe, diba?
How? Tell us more. What I wanted to find out also from you is the kind of responsibility you had, having to fly the Pope from Manila to Tacloban together with his entourage, and of course everyone else in that PAL flight, being the pilot in command, 41 or 42-year-old pilot back then.
That was the most memorable flight of my career as a pilot. I think nothing can top that. When we were going there, we were asked actually to if we wanted to go to the Pope and get our blessings. Of course, we readily. That was what we were waiting for. So before about 20 minutes into the flight, it was Captain Alvarez who went first to the Pope, then Captain Tamayo, then me. No? And we got our blessing, and then continued on.
I see.
With our flight. Feeling blessed.
Is that the picture that we are showing right now? I'm not sure if you can see it.
Yes.
Nakatabi niyo po si Pope Francis, yun.
Yes,
All
that's
right.
the one.
So
That's the
was there any other encounter you had with him aside from that?
After landing, when we parked already in Tacloban and in Manila, he went inside the cockpit to say thank you to us.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh,
So that
wow.
was quite an experience.
I remember that that day, the schedule had to be cut short because I remember
Yes.
the Pope saying that the pilot, I think he said the pilot said that we have to leave by 1 p.m. Yun po yung sinabi niya when he was, I believe he was in Palo. That was the last na pinuntahan niya ata from the Tacloban airport.
Correct.
He went to Palo, and then that's when he said, I have a bit of bad news. The pilot said we have to leave no later than 1 p.m. So that was obviously the advice coming from you and the team.
Yeah, it was a collaboration between PAL and Malacanang and the Vatican. We gave him a choice. Either we leave at 1 p.m. or at 8 p.m. The strongest wind was coming in at about 2 p.m. So well, it was a collective decision to leave at 1 p.m.
And the Pope did leave at about 1
Yeah.
p.m. at umalis na po kayo noon. And I remember there were members of the media at that time. I did watch a couple of documentaries last night. And nung pabalik nga daw kayo, meron na naman turbulence na naranasan. I'm assuming ito yung pabalik eh. And then tumayo nga daw si Pope Francis, and they were saying that that was a time that medyo naging nawala yung kanilang pagka-nervyos. And I think this was the one I was watching of Cara David, if I'm not mistaken. Yun po yung kanyang sinabi. Tell us more about that flight going home.
It was really, the winds were really strong. So we had to make a full thrust takeoff, call it a toga takeoff, just to ensure that we have the full power of the aircraft, and we took off safely now. And it was turbulent going out from going out of Tacloban, the weather would calm down. So I guess that was the time also Pope Francis stood up and kind of assured the passengers na. When you see him kasi really you feel that you're blessed, you're starstruck, and you're makakalma ka talaga when you see him.
A sense of calm.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then, so you landed safely, and what happened after that?
Yeah, he entered in Manila. He entered again the cockpit to say thank you. So it's really we kissed his hand, and we were also thankful for the opportunity and the blessing that he gave us.
Did you even ever have second thoughts about not being the pilot in command when you were? How was that? You're assigned, or were you designated? How does that happen?
At that time, I was the chief pilot of the A320 division. So my boss back then, Captain Tamayo, we decided that I'd be at the controls. So I was assigned to take the flight. So, yun. When you're there already, I mean, full concentration on the flight, you just have to. And I told my colleagues, Captain Alvarez, General Mancitos there, and Captain Tamayo, I told them if any one of you feels uncomfortable during the approach and landing, just tell me. I'll execute the misapproach. It's really teamwork. Teamwork talaga. When you're on the approach and the landing.
And what a flight that was, Captain.
It was a memorable.
Roland. Thank you
Yes.
so much for joining us, Captain Roland Narciso of Philippine Airlines.
Thank you.
Thank you. And that's
Thank
On
you.
Point. Join us again tomorrow, 7:30 p.m. here on BNC, the Billionario News Channel. I'm Pinky Webb. Thank you for watching.